Hello, salutations, what it do? So that the gamer, all five, the do-rag gang, know the vibes, like a subscribe. Let's get it. Good morning. What is up, chat? What's up, JJ? DJXD, what it do? Everyone watching this in the future, salutations. Let me just share this real quick. How's everyone doing this fine afternoon / morning? What's up, Dante? Welcome once again to Super News. We got a fun show for you today. We're going to be talking about that new Avatar: The Last Airbender game that just got announced. We're going to go over some Cyberpunk news, talk a little bit about Horizon, and go over all that Marvel's Avengers stuff that happened. It was an interesting week. What's up, SCSE? It was good. J23 Assassin. What's up? Yes, sir. I just saw it last night, so you know, as a fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender, I was all about it. Doomkiller, what's up, twin? Yes, sir. We might as well get into that. It's by far my favorite story of the week. This comes exclusively from avatarnews.co. ATLA console RPG and MMO RPG is coming. That's right, Avatar: The Last Airbender coming to consoles. Finally. According to Avatar, this comes from avatarnews.co. A Avatar: The Last Airbender console RPG and an Avatar MMO RPG are in development at Undisclosed Game Studios in collaboration with Paramount's Avatar Studios. Not just that, but these are just two games of at least 4 that are currently in development, including a mobile game from Square Enix that was announced last year, and at least one other game. And at least one of all of these games will feature the original Avatar: Last Airbender characters recast with new Asian and indigenous voice actors, basically voice matches of the originals. These have been in development in secret for a pretty long time, and they're coming much sooner than you think. That's all they can say. RPG is a vague descriptor. You know, they technically, you could call, I don't know, the Horizon series kind of an RPG. They have RPG elements, but you know, we pretty much know what an MMO is going to be, but just a regular RPG could be anything. Hoping it's you know me, you know, I'm a sucker for the open world action RPG type of game. So if we could get something like that with the original cast of the Avatar: Last Airbender series, I'm pumped. It's definitely something I'm going to be doing. You already know I'm pumped for the 7 Deadly Sins open world action RPG that was announced and actually has a trailer. That one basically looks like Genshin Impact, but with 7 Deadly Sins. There's also the rumored open world Mandalorian game coming from Ubisoft. So if you're a fan of open world games, they're going to have something for you. What's up, Bruce? We also have some Cyberpunk news. As you know, I covered this in a stream earlier in the week. Cyberpunk had their next gen launch finally. After months of waiting, fans got their Cyberpunk 2077 on next gen, PS5 and Series S and X. And of course, stuff is broken because it would not be a Cyberpunk launch if stuff did not go wrong. So there was some issues on PC, but seems like right now PS4 owners are down the worst at the moment among everybody else. Apparently this version is not working at all. This is from Kotaku. Cyberpunk's next gen version launched this week after months of delays. It's pretty good if you're on PS5, particularly because of the haptics. but the re-release also addressed a myriad of bugs with this massive 50 gig patch. Not everyone is enjoying a new update though, as PlayStation 4 owners report the physical disc version of the game is completely broken. Developer CD Projekt Red dropped patch 1.5 on Tuesday, which introduced additions like new cosmetics for V and improvements such as tweaking NPC AI so that they're a bit smarter. The game is obviously still missing stuff that players were asking for, such as New Game Plus, but it seems that for the most part, the update has made the game a lot more stable and more playable, which basically is how it should have been at launch. However, the disc version is apparently not one of those things that was fixed. According to users all over the internet, from Twitter to the developer's official forums, the physical version of Cyberpunk 2077 on every iteration of the PS4 continuously brings up launch errors. PS4 owners who've installed patch 1.5 say they've encountered corrupted data messages when attempting to start the game, with the nearly 10-year-old system asking them to delete the application, insert the disk again, and reinstall the game. However, this series of steps doesn't appear to fix the starter problems. Now, CD Projekt Red is currently investigating, so hopefully they get a fix soon. But in the meantime, if your version of Cyberpunk is not completely broken, they got this discovery. One of the NPCs in Cyberpunk can now send nudes. So there's that. As you know, romance is a big part of the Cyberpunk experience, and the new update has introduced some expansions in that area. And in particular, one of the potential love interests, Pan Am Palmer, will now send you nudes. so there is that. There's a picture. It is obviously not safe for work, but pretty easy to find on the internet. And just as a minor plug for myself, Horizon Forbidden West has launched. Obviously, it launched officially worldwide on Friday. So far, big hit, lots of great reviews. I streamed 4 hours of the game on my channel, so if you want to head over there at some point, definitely check it out. I'll probably be streaming more of it on Twitch as well. And now we'll move into the discussion phase, and let's talk some Avengers, because we got a lot of Avengers news. So we're going to be going into the live discussion part of the stream. So let me know what your thoughts on everything that happened this week are. If you missed it, the Marvel's Avengers devs broke their silence, and they said that officially the next update is going to be a patch 2.3, dropping sometime in March. And first they told us, it's going to address some minor things like units being rewarded in endgame activities, as well as Nick Fury would be returning as an NPC to give out missions. But they expanded on that in the Thursday blog, and there's some really good changes. Landon Love, what's up? Why are you going live so early in the morning? Landon, I've been doing this literally every week for at least 3 months. This is the Saturday news show that I've been doing. I'm usually doing it earlier than this. Widow skin in March. The leaked Widow skin is indeed, Age of Ultron. What's up, Venom? So one of the major quality of life changes coming in March in that 2.3 patch is checkpoint rewards for the raid. Now, as you know, a lot of people have had problems completing the raid. Some people can't play the raid at all. Some people were unable to get past certain points of the raid. Some people crash later in the raid. And the problem with that is, it's a long mission. And if you crash and aren't able to finish it, the game does not have join in progress. So you basically wasted your time if you can't progress through it, or if you crash out of it. No rewards for you. And one of the suggestions players had, you know, when the raid launched and it had all these problems, is that it needs some kind of checkpoint system like other raids and other games have had, so that at least if you play through the raid, if you get to a certain point and you crash or something happens and you can't progress, at least you're getting something. And they finally addressed that with this upcoming patch. Checkpoint rewards. This is from Alex and Brian Wagner. We have changed the setup rewards to drop from major encounters in the raid rather than all at the end. There are now 4 instances in the raid that will reward gear. This also means the normal raid will drop an additional claw minor artifact, though it will not improve your power level. They're still looking at improving the subsequent rewards that you get after doing the mission chain, and we'll update you when we have that plan finalized. So all of that is actually good. So no Birdman hands on that. That's actually very good news. Like I said, no joining progress still, but they are addressing the problem of people being unable to play the raid with the checkpoint system, so that when you play the raid, I'm guessing in certain encounters, major encounters, you'll be rewarded with gear. So I'm guessing the big spider, maybe the sound room, the puzzle room, the forge, you know, completing these certain stages will get you gear. And I'm wondering if that's going to be abusable, but we'll have to see about it. This update sounds promising. It does. You want to do the raid? Do them? Sure, we should do that. Let's see. They're also good that they're exploring the rewards you get after doing the mission chain, because that was another complaint a lot of players had. They're still doing the time gating thing, but one of the reasons the time gating is so terrible is because once you hit 160, the only in-game activity that's worth doing is the elite raid, because you can't progress your power level beyond 160 with any other activity except for the elite raid. And once you get your 3 pieces of gear for the elite raid, every time you complete it after it, you only get 1, which is ridiculous for the time commitment. So hopefully they increase the amount of gear that you get after subsequent runs. I don't understand why they do stuff like this in the first place. In-game activities in other games, they just drop loot. It doesn't matter how many times you complete it. Yeah, you can have your weekly completion reward, but there's no reason to be completely stingy after that, because you actually want players to be playing it over and over again. Especially, like, it doesn't make sense to make it so that there's no reason to play at all until next week. It'll be 9 months since Xbox got a character. You really want to see that player count? Yeah, the last character Xbox got was Wakanda back in August. Yeah, like, I've been playing a lot of Destiny. I was actually playing Destiny with Johnny Rocker earlier this morning, and it was fun just farming different in-game activities. We were farming that horse thing, and you just come in, you're popping off enemies. It's crazy. There's some jumping stuff, but there's just enemies all over the place. Intense boss battles. You just went with all your friends, just pewing. Defeating enemies drops gear. You can get exotic drops at random from killing enemies, and then at the end of it, there's a loot chest. You get a bunch of stuff, and you can just do that however many times you want to do. And there's just a bunch of stuff in Destiny 2 that you can literally just pop in, play the stuff, get rewards. You do it as many times as you want. You can do patrol mode, you can do strikes, they got raids. You know, there's just stuff you can do. You got PvP. There's just constant stuff to do. Even when there's not an update, there's just stuff to do. And I haven't spent any money on any of the expansions or anything. I'm completely free to play in Destiny, and I've been having a lot of fun. I'm already at the soft cap. I'm already past the soft cap. Destiny has time gating too, but it's not even remotely comparable to Avengers, like at all. Like that's why I'm telling you, there's always stuff to do. They made a lot of really good changes to Destiny 2, and you could just farm and farm and farm. You play with your friends. It's just fun. It's just time sinks that you could do, and that's what Avengers is missing. They don't have activities that you can just hop in with 4 players and just do it over and over again all day if you want to do, and you get some good rewards out of it. Their time gate was horrible at first year, and like I said, that's completely irrelevant. Like, we're talking about currently, right now. Destiny 2 has gotten a lot of players that didn't like Destiny in the past that played it back into Destiny, because they made a lot more changes that are encouraging players to hop on. Why compare? Because literally right now, try to keep up. So right now, Avengers, which copied Destiny, that's what the executives tried to do. They were like, we're going to make Marvel's Destiny. And that's what they started to do. If you play Destiny, you can see a lot of the stuff that Avengers blatantly lifted from it. So once again, they are both live service looters. Again, the executives literally tried to copy off of Destiny when they made this game. And I'm telling you, the things that Destiny does well that Avengers could implement. Obviously, Avengers can't do everything because they don't have the engine for it. You know, Bungie has, you know, a big team. They've been doing really well. But there are things that Avengers can improve on if they're trying to still go down this looter route, and that is the content. That's the main thing. Avengers is completely free. Destiny is free to play, but they charge you for the expansions. You know, that if you want to expand the story, do certain campaigns, there's money that you put into that. Whereas Avengers, everything is free except for the cosmetics. So what's missing from Avengers is, first of all, I think they should have monetized their DLCs, but that's another story. But the thing they're missing content wise is something that makes players want to sit on the game every day. And you know, they had a little bit of that before, because it's really not that hard to do in Avengers. You give people an activity that they can do over and over again, and you reward them with loot. That's why it's like good that they're starting to make these changes to make the game something that people want to play more than just once a week. Like before, I remember with Avengers, I used to spend hours just farming Tachyon Rifts. I remember Tachyon Rifts used to be able to play them as many times as you want. You could play a solo or multiplayer, and you had a chance at an exotic. And as long as you got, 5 stars or whatever, you get a legendary. Might be good, might not be, but you had a decent chance at exotic. I remember I racked up about 9 or 10 exotics, Tachyon exotics for a Hawk, just doing a bunch of farm runs with the Tachyon Rifts in one night. And then they changed with just a random person that I match made with. And then for some reason, without warning, without an explanation, they started time gating the Tachyon Rift so that you have no chance of getting an exotic if you play the solo version of the Tachyon Rift, and you can't get anything higher than a legendary if you play it. So that's right there. That's a dead mission right there on the map. The breakout, it's a dead mission. There's no reason to do it. You can't get higher than an epic. You can't get an exotic. It's a dead mission. And the multiplayer one, which rotates daily, you can only get a legendary or an exotic on the first attempt of the day, and then after that, all you get is an epic. So right there's really no reason to play it once per day. And now that that boy do, thank you for the sub. Welcome to the Durag Gang. And right now that the Red Room event is going on, and that event now rewards Tachyon gear, there's no reason to play the Tachyon Rifts at all, because you could just farm the Red Room event and you could save scum it and try to get, whatever you want. But that's the thing. It's in a looter, especially in a multiplayer looter, you're supposed to have activities that encourage people to stay on the game as long as possible, especially if you're trying to sell things, because the longer people stay on the game, the more likely they'll end up in the marketplace or moving on or giving your stuff a shot. Like one of the updates they're making is to the war table and how you select missions. And as soon as they announced that, I immediately thought, oh, are they going to do like a playlist system like Destiny, where instead of just being like, okay, well, I'm doing this mission and then I have to come back to the war table. I return to the Quinjet, then I have to fumble through the war table, find whatever I want. Then I have, instead, you hop into a playlist in Destiny, you do a strike playlist, you get your chain of missions, and it loads you in automatically one after the other. You run through them, you get some pretty nice rewards, and you can replay the whole thing again, or you can do something else. Can you play the Red Room because it's not on the order table? Yeah, that's another bug. Yeah, I was saying some people don't have the Red Room takeover on their map at all. I remember I got the opposite bug before. I got a bug where the Red Room takeover was always on my war table. Like for months, it just sat there. Like the first time the Red Room takeover came out, it was bugged for a bunch of people, and they couldn't play it because all the enemies spawned at once. It worked perfectly fine for me, but when the Red Room takeover ended and they promised to bring it back, mine never left. So I just had it the entire time. It was just weird. But yeah, playlists would definitely help, especially since they're talking about these changes to vault and villain sectors. I thought that was interesting. So they're completely overhauling the rewards for the villain sectors and the vaults. So the vaults will no longer need coordinates. You can pick them up from Shield faction mission givers, and one weekly elite vault and villain sector will also be part of the weekly updates. The missions will always stay on the war table, and the rewards now have a chance to drop the exotic variants of their sets. Completing the daily and weekly mission chains give you a higher chance at the exotic. The weekly elite mission chains will award 2 pieces of gear, melee or range, defense or heroic. The gear set that is awarded from villain sectors it's also changed, and they'll have more on that later. But that will be pretty neat. Like now imagine if you have, with these changes to the vaults, you have your elite vault strike play, you have your elite vault playlists, you have your villain sector playlists, and obviously it would help a lot if they added more villain sectors, so part of your villain sector playlist, you could have your Abomination, your Taskmaster, your Maestro, your Monica, but you also have your Crossbones, your MODOK, your Loki, your Ultron, Red Skull, Graviton, you know, different villain sectors. Just add more of those to the game. Make the rewards worth it. Make the rewards for those villain sectors worth playing. Make it farmable, and then put it in a playlist system. And now all of a sudden, people have a reason to play the game every day. You know, you hop in, you load into Avengers instead of just loading into Avengers on Thursday and leaving after a couple hours. You come in on Monday. You're like, okay, it's reset time. Time to hop on my vault playlist. Get on this. You know, they got. Let's see what villain sectors we got today for that playlist. Okay, we got Loki on here today. We got Ultron on here. Okay, let's do this villain sector playlist. I got some exotics I'm trying to get this set, you know, trying to get this stuff from this vault. So I got my elite vault run, my elite vault playlist. I got my elite villain sector playlist, you know, like, and that's just something that can give people a reason to keep playing. And then imagine if the raid, if the rewards after you complete the raid are better, are, you know, significantly better. And then on top of that, the checkpoint system. So you're like, okay, we'll run some elite raids today. You know, maybe I'll farm it. I'll farm the elite raid a little bit, because even though I got my weekly completion, I can still get a decent amount of raid gear. You know, and then the units they're going to be giving units for doing the OLT in the raid. Was it 1,000 for the first completion, and then 500 every time, and then they cut the cost of the shipments in half from 500 to 250. Does the story mode give units? Yeah, you get units pretty much anywhere, but it's not. I believe there are unit chests in the story mode, but the most efficient way still to get units is to farm vaults. So there's really no point in replaying the story mode at all if you're just trying to get units. Just do what everyone else does. Load up a vault until they add this change, or even after, just literally just load up a vault, put it on challenge 4, and open some chests. Sound like you when you had your expectations for this game so high, and now it's just a away game. That's the thing. My expectations aren't even high. I'm just literally reading what they're saying and explain and what they're going to add and tell and give you guys and the Crystal Dynamic employees that watch this stream an idea of how it can be improved upon in the future. You know, I'm not having these sky high, you know, predictions, you know, like, oh, we're going to have a 6-person Thanos raid, and it's going to be Doctor Strange and Wanda and Vision, and you're going to pew 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 with War Machine. No, I'm not in that phase. I know what's realistic and what's not realistic. I know that they're revamping how you're doing missions. I know that they're revamping vault missions and villain sectors to make them something that you can play frequently. I know they've already put in work on Ultron and are planning to release him this year. I know Loki is already someone that they started and teased with Thor's Iconic Mission Chain. So I know that's something they can look into. So, you know, I'm just looking at realistically what they could do rather than focusing on these big resource clogging in-game modes like a patrol mode. They could just make the daily day-to-day for Avengers a lot more interesting, you know, by going easier on the time gating, smoothing out the mission selection process, you know, adding stuff like playlists, improving loot and targeted farming for the loot, improving subsequent drops for in-game activities, you know, quality of life stuff like that. that actually makes it so that the game is more rewarding to play more than just on Thursday is something that will help a lot. Jack Jones, for those who don't know, Jack Jones is a troll. He just comes in pretending to be a Crystal Dynamics employee, so you can ignore pretty much everything he says, just so you know. Patrol mode needs to be scrapped until we have at least 2 more characters. So, what's up, Gadget? So the argument I've heard, which I think is better for patrol mode, is that instead of doing patrol mode or another raid, just do more villain sectors. Like you have somewhat of a foundation. You've got gear. You know, you've got skills. Use what you have. Make the activities that you already have more rewarding. You know, improve exotics, improve perks, change it so where you can target gear more in different places and more effectively. You know, give people the reason to play every day. You know, give people, you know, allow people to get units from different places. Give people a reason to play every day, and then double down on all those missions that can get people playing, so that there's a bunch of stuff for them to do. And then maybe look at something, you know, a big piece, you know, like a raid. Because patrol mode is never going to be like it was for people in Marvel Heroes. It's never going to be like it is in Destiny. So, you know, instead of putting a bunch of resources towards that, just make like 5 new villain sectors. Because the changes they're making are good. You know, obviously, getting rid of the time gating on the raids would be ideal, but if as a compromise they say they made it so that the Mega Hive now will get you from power level 150 to 160, you know, that would help solo players a bit. And if they improve the subsequent rewards for the claw raid on top of having the checkpoint system, that would make during that raid at least more enjoyable and more worth your time. Personally, they definitely need to do something about the elite raid time gating, because having only that one mission to get you your power level up is silly. Just let people farm it however they want. But for some reason they still seem to have this mindset which I don't know where they got it from, but because every other successful looter does not have this problem. But for some reason they think if they don't time gate and just let us farm and play stuff however much we play it, we're going to be like, you know, greedy fat kids who are going to get overstuffed, and we're going to get bored with all just stuffing our faces and stop playing. And in reality, what's happening is people are looking at time gating for everything, how much time they'd have to waste to even get to 175, and they're just like, I'm just not going to do it. I'm just not going to play. So they need to get over that mindset. I don't know where they got it from. It's not true, but if they finally loosen up the reins a bit, I think they're going to see a significant increase in player engagement. But definitely, I would not mind them scrapping patrol mode, because if you scrap patrol mode, then that's less of even of a need to work on joining progress, which obviously should still be a thing. But if you delay patrol mode at the very least and pump out more villain sectors and incorporate it with this kind of new system so that villain sectors are more rewarding and, you know, a part of a playlist, I think that would be much better, because I don't have faith that patrol mode is going to be this, you know, great thing in Marvel's Avengers. So I think it would literally just be better if they're just like, you know what, we're gonna just focus on making the day-to-day of the game more enjoyable. You already bored to start with. Exactly. Villain sectors with a unique item piece that can only come from the villain sector, like a Maestro perk. That's how we have the more damage you deal. Yeah, yes, you know, and that, yeah, like I was saying, like something more targeted farming, you know, better gear, you know, give people a reason to play these different activities, you know, unique perks, unique rewards, stuff that encourages people to play and, you know, actually do some targeted farming for some of these activities. Yeah, exactly that. Rather than that way, they wouldn't have to focus on nerfing individual perks. If you're buffing other perks and creating new and interesting perks, then you don't have to keep worrying about, okay, well, we have to nerf damage buff, we have to nerf Tachyon Surge. You know, if instead you're creating the meta, you're opening up the meta so that there are different ways to play by playing around with different perks rather than just slapping a damage buff on everything. That you're getting that build diversity without, you know, wasting the time of players who spent time, you know, farming gear for certain perks only for you to turn around and nerf it. It's a lot less frustrating, and it helps players a lot in the game a lot more. How's Horizon? Horizon is great. Definitely check out my stream I did yesterday. It was a lot of fun. This game had like 15 iconic Marvel villains. You would grind a villain sector playlist. Exactly. So would I. Like I was saying, like, you know, sure, you still have your Maestro, your Taskmaster, Abomination. That's fine. But yeah, you throw in Graviton, Red Skull, Loki, Ultron, you know, then we're doing something, you know. Throwing some new factions like the Hand, you know, Hydra. Daga Sifu, not at all. When the game first came out, did you know there was a thing called boss layers? It was in lock calling cards. It changed when the Mega Hive was released. I did not. Crazy how little villains this game has. Exactly, the scrolls. Yeah, because they everything got delayed, and then they're like, okay, well, we got to fix all these bugs. So we have we're going months literally of just AIM and Abomination and Taskmaster, and then they were like, okay, well, they want end game activities, so let's work on patrol mode, but also we have to do Spider-Man, and, you know, we got to get a raid out. You know, we got to fix gear. It's just all this other stuff, and I'm just like, oh, it's simple. Simplify it. This is a Marvel game. It's a multiplayer Marvel game. People, at the end of the day, you know, this is never going to be Destiny. As much as whoever's idea was, this is never going to be Destiny. People, at the end of the day, most of the players here, they just want to pew pew with their favorite Marvel hero. So give them that experience. Still throwing the loot, still throwing the cool perks for the people who care about that stuff, so that the missions are actually rewarding. But simplify it. More Marvel villains, more Marvel locations. That's it. Marvel villains, Marvel locations. That, if you have more of that, you don't have to worry as much about bringing in new heroes with these big story set pieces. You don't need all that. you don't. Drop in She-Hulk, drop in Strange, bring them in with a new villain sector, and, you know, expand, you know, bring them in a new villain sector, new location. You don't need this big, you don't need to bring in, you don't need to have these 4 curated missions with all these cut scenes, and just a new area, new location, new villain. nice big thing to explore. It's rewarding. Drop a new character in there, limited fanfare, and keep it moving. Red Skull, Serpent Society, Scrolls, Wrecking Crew. Exactly. They have fighting AIM after 30 years in the future, and Clint, that was it. Exactly. Like, it's so close, heading in the right direction, but it takes so long. That's why I'm very intrigued with this new update that they talked about, because it definitely shows that they're finally listening to player feedback, especially from VIP creators like Bob Duckenweave, Johnny Rocker, and High Ruler Jay Shockblast. So that's why I'm very curious what the actual roadmap is going to be, because it'll say a lot about what the rest of the year is going to look like and possibly what to expect in the future. That's sad. Players don't even want story. We just want the characters at this point. Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, the story is cool, but that's the thing. The priority right now should be content. We only really need one big story expansion per year, per year. Even that would be fine. You know, save it for a big character. You know, War for Wakanda, fine. Black Panther, big character, expansion, expand the story. Captain Marvel, nice expansion, Kree invasion, all that good stuff. Fine. Everybody else, you don't need a big thing for a Winter Soldier DLC. You don't need to have a bunch of fanfare and crazy stuff for a She-Hulk DLC. Just drop in some characters, drop in some Echo characters where, you know, you keep a lot of the different animations, but you change the heroics around and some of the other moves so they feel a little bit fresh. You know, just drop them in a few very simple cutscenes, some story beats, and you're fine. Just give us stuff to do with those heroes. We don't need all this other stuff, because those big operations, you know, Hawkeye's DLC, Case DLC, even the War for Wakanda, people were done in like 2 hours, and then we're off the game after all of that. Like, if you had more missions instead that would hook players and give them reason to play every day, then you wouldn't see so many players coming into the game for the DLC and then immediately leaving. Like, add in those villain sectors, and, you know, expand the villain sectors, make them better and bigger. You know, throw in something like a horde mode, something permanent that people can hop in. You know, instead of a patrol mode, just do a horde mode, so people can just pop in your solo or multiplayer, and you just do endless waves of enemies just all these crazy waves. It could be like up to like I think Ghost of Tsushima's their survivor mode, 15 waves of enemies of increasing difficulty. The longer you get to the end, and you get a big dump of resources and gear. People will be hooked on that. People would do that all the time. Just give them stuff to do, then you can focus on the heroes and all that cool stuff. But if you give them the Marvel villains, you give them the Marvel locations, you give them the hamster wheel for content that makes them want to play the game every day, and all of a sudden you're going to be seeing a lot more engagement, a lot more people willing to spend money on those pretty marketplace items, because now, instead of running around in the same AIM hallways in their shiny new MCU suit or whatever, they're running around, you know, fighting Ultron you know, with their buddies. You know, it's a lot better situation for them to be in. Crazy, still no crossover villain sector. Yeah, and that was such a no-brainer. Like, and it's probably because they were spending all of their resources trying to get the Spider-Man, well, not trying to make sure the Spider-Man DLC was out and functioning, and trying to get the Claw raid done on time. Just simplify it. All you gotta do is simplify it. Farmable content, and it'll be easier on them. Instead of working on these giant in-game activities like a patrol mode or a raid, or a 3-hour raid, just take those resources and break them up into villain sectors, and do your horde mode, and then you can do your horde mode. Literally, if they literally just did villain sectors and horde modes, the game would be immediately way more playable, especially with a playlist system for the villain sectors and the improved vaults with the improved rewards, and the horde modes. You can just put horde modes in different locations, and that could be the update. You can have your capture and defend Avengers Tower horde mode, or you can drop in Doctor Strange and have a Sanctum Sanctorum horde mode. They got all sorts of stuff they could do. This is a kind of a no-brainer. Horde mode in the underwater map. Yeah. The helicarrier, they've got actual locations already in the game that they could just expand. Like they had like one of the most fun missions in the main campaign was when the helicarrier was attacked by the AIM enemies, and you were fighting, them breaking into the helicarrier. You're fighting them inside the helicarrier. Then you got outside, and you fought them on top of the helicarrier. That's a lot of fun. Literally turn that into a horde mode type of thing, and people will play that all. People will play that all day. Yeah, anything worth replaying, meaning it's fun. It's engaging. It's got something new character wise, and more importantly, it rewards you. That's all. It really would be, and I really believe it would make it easier on them development wise, rather than focusing on these big tentpole like items. Just focus on the horde. Just focus on the simple stuff to make the game more engaging. New suit, same blueprint, gotta mix it up, make us compete with other players. Yeah, you can have something like that. Not even a PvP type of deal, but Ghost of Tsushima, for example, they don't have a direct PvP mode, but they have a where you're trying to kill another player, but they have a competitive type of PvP mode where it's you and one other person on one team, and and your opponents are 2 other players, and you're basically racing to get through this map, defeat these enemies. You can sabotage the other team, stuff like that. Ultron would be perfect for her mode for sure. Somebody tag Avengers so they can hear us. Fortunately, I have people who watch this channel, watch my streams, who are in the VIP program, the Avengers Illuminati, and they can always direct suggestions in those directions. And if you guys have suggestions, I can tell it to them, and they can tell it to the developers. And that way your feedback is actually reaching somebody at Crystal Dynamics. Obviously, it would be easier if I could just give them the information myself, but they don't want me in that program. So I'm fine on the outside. I'll say what needs to be said, and then whoever wants to listen, they can listen. People asking for PvP, don't know what they're asking for. You think the content trial is bad? Yeah, like obviously PvP is something they can explore way further down the line. Not true PvP, obviously that would be a disaster. But yeah, just a team mode, like a race to finish, that'd be fine. Allow us to switch to different characters on our squad. Oh yes, like switching mid game. Like if you're running with your AI campaigns, you want to be able to completely switch to that different character. Yeah, I guess that could be an interesting quality of life thing that some players might find appealing. Yeah, I would have been fine in terms of the AI campaigns with the expanded ping system, which is what they originally were planning on doing. If anyone remembers that, they were doing they introduced the ping system, you know, and right now all it does is just direct your AI campaigns to open doors or to alert your teammates if there's a chest that they should get to or something. But the idea was supposed to be, you know, expanding the use of the AI in combat. So if you're playing with your AI teammates, you know, you can ping them to you know, do their assault heroic or do their ultimate heroic or pop their support heroic. And that way it would add a bit of a multiplayer feel to it, even if you're playing solo. You know, it would be similar to, it could be similar, you know, similar to how Guardians of the Galaxy has it set up, where even though you're controlling Star-Lord primarily, you can fight with all of the other characters. You know, you can select Gamora and you can upgrade them. You can select Gamora, have her do different attacks and stuff like that. Same with everyone else. So you can strategize around it. You know, if there's a certain enemy, certain enemies will need to be worn down or weakened with certain types of attacks that you may not have. So you can have your teammates do it, and then you have your teammate do one attack, the other teammate do the other attack, and then you come in and finish them off. So, you know, something like that would be cool. Expanding the custom harm room to fight Avengers, shit. Or how about different environments in the custom harm room? You know, instead of just the harm room that we have at Avengers, we can have it like the harm room is in the comics, and just be like, okay, well, we can have the harm room maybe simulate other different environments, you know, change up the look a little bit. Instead of fighting in the same drab environment, maybe change it up a little bit. You just notice they removed the community and everything. How long has that been going? If I had to guess, I'd say since shipments were added to the game and units became a much hotter commodity, that's about when I first noticed that the weekly community reward for defeating a certain amount of enemies, where you would get 500 units every Thursday, that's gone now. I don't think that's a coincidence. Like the Danger Room X-Men, yeah. Overshield needs to go, it ruins the flow. For sure, Overshield is not I don't think it's a good mechanic, and it's one of the reasons why melee sucks in this game. It adds on to the existing problem, which is that enemies are too immune to stagger to like a ridiculous degree, even enemies that have no business being immune to stagger, and it completely kills the flow of melee combat and just incentivizes everybody to just either play a build where they're spamming ranged attacks or they're spamming heroics and maybe like one power attack in the case of Thor or Hawk. Yeah, the unit discount has been the thing since Thursday. They're experimenting with it. They recognize that there's some imbalance in the current unit economy with how much it costs people to get to, you know, go through the shipments versus how viable it is to earn units in a game. They recognize that everybody, you know, didn't get 999,000 units with the reimbursement update, and you know, a lot of people didn't do the unit cheese back before it was patched, so they may be low on units, and the only way to get it is to, you know, fly around opening chests on challenge 4, which is obviously very boring and not particularly engaging. So they're looking at different ways to make that less terrible, you know, having the price of the shipments, you know, in the next update, you know, they're going to be adding, of course, units as a reward for completing the Omega level threat in the raid. So they're very much aware and on top of the problem of units and are going to be addressing that, which is good. Speaking of stagger, what exactly is impact and how's the scale? Yeah, that's another thing they need to actually work on, because impact right now, the only way to be a melee character and not have to deal with the BS amounts of stagger that enemies have resistance to is to basically just spam power attacks. Can you show, you know, the old update? There you go. Yeah, that was a development update that came on Wednesday. The other one was the development update for Thursday, which expanded on some of the stuff they'd be adding in the patch. Can't wait to get Nick Fury as an NPC. I honestly, I don't care at all about Nick Fury in the game. I think I am curious if he's just coming as an NPC. You know, I thought the idea of him being like a major artifact summon would have been neat, and I was curious to see how the story would work in how Nick Fury came back. But if they're just dropping him back in the helicarrier and saying, "Oh yeah, I'm back now," it's like, well, okay. That was a letdown. But there are people legit happy to see Nick Fury. I'm like, you guys do know it's not like content. It's just literally Nick Fury giving missions. Yeah, even though they're supposedly going to be given an explanation, the explanation is not going to be interesting. like I don't think they're going to do a cutscene or anything. Like this could have legit just been like content. Like, oh, save Nick Fury mission chain, you know, new missions, new enemy type, you know, hell, save Nick Fury villain sector, you know, some Marvel villain is Nick Fury is being held by some, you know, Marvel villain, and you have to defeat the Marvel villain in this new exciting villain sector in order to get Rick Fury back, and War Machine is gonna pop in because he's been investigating, and you have to go with War Machine and knock out this villain sector, and if you And after you finish defeating the villain, then you unlock War Machine and you unlock Nick Fury as an NPC. You know, something like that would have been pretty cool. But if it's literally just, oh, Nick Fury's here now, okay, and some lines of dialogue, I would have been like, I was gonna be like, oh well, okay, or that we could do that too, you know. Okay. Or hell, it would have been like, oh, Nick Fury's back in the helicarrier, but it's a scroll, and you know, oh, the scrolls are a thing, and that you know, the real Nick Fury is being held by the Super Scroll, and you have to do this villain sector to, you know, get Nick Fury in the Super Scroll. You know, it's like so there were very cool ways they could have brought Nick Fury back. It's like, oh, or not, or I guess we could do that. That just having him appear with a line of dialogue, that works too, I guess. Just at least do the major artifact thing. That would be cool. Summon Nick Fury, comes down with a gun, dual wielding with Maria Hill or something. That'd be neat. But anyway, that's it for Super News. Thank you guys for tuning in. Like and subscribe. I'll be back later on, literally in like an hour. I'm going to be covering IGN Fest. They're going to have some game announcements, and they're going to be doing a showcase for Star Wars, the Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga, which I'm excited about. So hang out for that at 2 if you're interested. I'm going to be chilling with the Discord members right now for the next hour. I'm Sadot the Gamer, signing out.